Hey there, I'm going to show you how to install tongue and groove wood paneling like this onto a ceiling. First things first, let's talk about the material itself. So this is a pine paneling. It's got a tongue that runs on one side and a groove cut into the other side so that each piece is able to fit together. It's also called V-groove paneling. You can usually find these 6-packs of it in the big box stores. It's a fairly thin material, so this is about 1/4 inch thick, which if you're going to be putting it over an existing finish on your ceiling, such as drywall, it's good that it's thin because you don't want to be adding an excessive amount of weight to that ceiling. To attach our boards to the ceiling, we're going to use a little bit of construction adhesive, and then we're going to tack it up with some finish nails. Beyond this, the only other major tool you need is some sort of saw to cut your boards. A miter saw is great, but you could also use a circular saw. And then we'll use a few smaller tools along the way, but I'll talk about those as we get to those steps. In general, I'd say this thin wood paneling could be put over most types of ceilings. Here we have basically an unfinished drywall ceiling. This used to be a popcorn ceiling, but we scraped all the popcorn, so that leaves us with a nice smooth flat surface that we can install this over. To mark the studs, we're just going to use a stud finder and a pencil, and then we'll get a long straight board so that we can draw some lines to fully show where all the studs are. My favorite kind of stud finder is just this little simple one that's basically just some really strong magnets, and the magnets find and stick to the drywall nails or screws, and then you know where those screws are is generally where there's going to be a joist. I'm going to start right here, right above me, and just run my magnet, and immediately I hit a nail right there. I'll mark that. Another one right there. I'm ready to start attaching my planks to the ceiling, but I'm out here in the garage because first I want to cut some of these down to different lengths. They're 8-foot planks, and of course the ceiling in there is much wider than that, so there's going to be seams between the planks. And you have to decide how you want to do those seams, whether you want to do a standard layout in some sort of pattern, or if you just want to randomize those seams. I want to go for the randomized look. So basically, I just need to cut some of these boards off to just a little bit off, or some of them into different lengths so I can stagger where all those joints are, and that from one row to the next, they don't line up and they're in random spots. Another thing I'm going to try to do when doing this is look at the boards and see if there's anywhere where the tongue or groove got broken. Since they are pretty thin, sometimes that gets damaged. If it's just a little nick, it's okay, but if like a big part of the tongue is missing or the groove's broken, I usually try to cut that out. After cutting a few, I had a stack of boards I could get started with. I took the first one and spread some construction adhesive on the back. I used Loctite Power Grab. I ended up realizing the amount I used on the first board that you see here was a bit more than necessary, and on the rest of the boards I used a bit less construction adhesive, and this just made each tube go a bit farther. I brought the board up in place starting from the edge of the ceiling at the corner. I positioned it with the tongue facing away from the wall and the groove toward the wall. Once in place, I lined up the nail gun with my lines on the ceiling, marking the joist, and shot a nail to hold it down. Then I shot a nail on the other end, and then I went back and added a nail at each of the other joist locations in between. After the first row, when you position a board, you have to get the tongue and groove fit together. This is usually easier for shorter boards and harder for longer sections. In either case, I find it easiest to start at one end, get the tongue and groove fit together, and then work along the board toward the other end. I don't put any nails in until I get it positioned and fit together. Installing these is really pretty simple. From here, the process keeps going just the same. If any nails end up a little proud of the surface, you can use a hammer and a nail set to sink them below the surface of the board without leaving hammer marks. You can also see my nailing pattern here. After the first row, I did one nail at the center of each board at each ceiling joist location. With the randomized pattern I did, I only needed to measure and cut an exact length for the piece at the end of each row. For the other pieces, I would just pick a random length and make sure it didn't line up too closely with any of the seams in the nearby rows. Now, I'll let the time-lapse roll because it's pretty satisfying to watch it all come together. On the other side, I had to cut a special piece for the ceiling transition by the entryway. I notched out the end of this board. I also cut the back side of the groove off. This allowed the tongue of the mating board on the adjoining ceiling face to fit closely even though they were meeting at an angle. From here, the rest could be installed normally. Okay, so at this point I have all of the boards up except for the last row before we get to that beam there. And the last row is kind of the trickiest one. First off, there's not enough room to take the groove of the next board that we're trying to put up and to slide it over the tongue of that second to last row. So I had to modify each board. So what I did is cut off the bottom part of the groove. So it's missing on the bottom here, and we just have the top edge of the groove. It helps if you have a table saw in order to make that cut, because it's a very small part you're cutting off. Doing this means that on this last row, I can take that final piece and just place it over that tongue on the previous board. And I don't need that extra room to slide it in. It can come directly down, just like that. Second thing that's tricky about the last row is that it's probably not gonna be the width of a full board. And in my case, I have almost a full board, just a little less on this side and a thinner strip on the other. And that's because of how I offset that side a little different to make it ideal for working around that transition down in that flat part of the ceiling. So, for this last row, you have to rip the boards to the width of that final gap. Here are my pieces for the final row on each side. You can see I have some wider ones for the first side and some narrower ones for the other side. I got nails where I could, but used clamps to hold the ends down until the adhesive cured. The clamps are needed on this last row since there aren't tongues and grooves locked in on both sides of the board. For the finish, we wanted a whitewash look. I mixed up a 50-50 mix of white latex paint and water. I applied this with a deck staining pad. This achieved the look we were going for. Honestly though, when picking a finish for a ceiling like this, there's a lot to consider. Should you finish the boards before or after you install them? Should you finish the back side of the boards? Should I have put a clear coat over my whitewash? You get the idea. What I did may not end up providing the most long-lasting finish, but I'm happy with the result, and in the end, that's what matters.